It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
中华儿女多旗帜，不爱红装，爱武装。由首都女民兵组成的方队是受阅方队中一道亮丽的风景线。参加受阅的女民兵中有国家公务员、企业职工、社会青年和在校大学生，他们以蓬勃的朝气展示着首都。
You get those goose-stepping communist soldiers? Reminds me of Nazi Germany's fighting forces parading around with the same goose step. To me, a sign of militarism at its height. But today's subject is about one of America's biggest scams that the globalists have ever pulled on the United States. That's the anchor baby scam. And these two things are intertwined. I'll tell you how they are in a minute. The anchor baby scam is one in which any foreign alien can have a baby on U.S. soil, and that baby is magically declared to become an American citizen who is entitled to lifetime welfare and citizenship privileges. This is a massive national security threat because the Chinese Communist government is now paying for tens of thousands of pregnant women to travel to America, drop a baby on U.S. soil, and then take the baby back to be educated as a dedicated, battle-hardened Chinese communist soldier, only to return to America years later as a part of an invading army. Yes, an invading army. Indeed, right now, it's totally legal for those babies to grow up in communist China, receive military training and communist indoctrination, and then come right back to the United States at any time, no questions asked, because they are technically American citizens. Well, take a good look at what could be American citizens who have been fully trained to shoot down American fighter pilots, all because of a misinterpretation of a 14th Amendment. The anchor baby scam is setting America up for a future invasion and bankrupting our country's hospitals in the meantime. On the campaign trail, President Trump promised an end to the anchor baby scam, but it will take an act of Congress to make that happen. The act I'll tell you about today is called the Birthright Citizenship Act, and it's authored by Republican Congressman Steve King of Iowa. It is designated in the House as H.R. 140. This is a serious problem because it's a long-term national security threat, believe it or not, coming from communist China. Plus, dozens of additional American hospitals will go bankrupt over the next 4 years if we do not put an end to the anchor baby scam. America and Canada are the only two remaining developed countries in the world that have not terminated the self-destructive globalist policy of automatic citizenship for alien babies. We need to put an end to this scam immediately. And today I'll tell you how you can help Congressman Steve King gain some additional co-sponsors and push the Birthright Citizenship Act through Congress. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you'll receive updates on this issue and more as we work together to make America great again. First, let's define the issue of anchor babies. Under current policy, if any woman gives birth to a baby on U.S. soil, that baby is granted automatic American citizenship. The baby is therefore an anchor, which shields the two parents from deportation, whether they are here on a tourist visa or if they were just an illegal alien a minute ago who happened to slide across the border. The globalists like to claim that this is due to the 14th Amendment, which reads in Section 1, and I quote, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside." For the first 110 years that this amendment was in effect, it was never interpreted to include babies born to tourists or illegal aliens, or even resident aliens before they became citizens. But today, we're told that this amendment means all babies born here, no matter who the parents are or where they came from. All of them are American citizens now. Well, maybe not. Here's Congressman Steve King talking about the importance of his bill and this issue. Please take a look.
The illegal parents, are they going to decide? or are we going to decide as representatives of the people of the United States of America? And I suggest that it's our job here in this Congress to decide who will be citizens, not someone in a foreign country that can sneak into the United States and have a baby and then go home with a birth certificate.
Right now, the people who are sneaking in are deciding our citizenship policies. The 14th Amendment was never considered to cover all babies born on U.S. soil. It was written in 1868 and ratified in 1871. The original purpose of the 14th Amendment was to prevent slave-owning Democrats from deporting the babies of newly freed slaves after the Civil War, which the party of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton wanted to do. As the Senate was drafting the 14th Amendment, Republican Senator Jacob Howard from Michigan, who was one of the principal authors of the amendment, said, and I quote, "The 14th Amendment will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners or aliens or who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of person." The 14th Amendment was never intended to include foreigners who just happen to be here. In fact, the issue of citizenship is so complex and so delicate and so important that it took Congress another 50 years to iron out all the details to even grant American citizenship to members of American Indian tribes. So even if they were born here and were here before we were, they had to figure out how to make them citizens. If the 14th Amendment had been applied starting in 1871, it's clear to me, and it applied as carelessly as it is today, we might not even have American Indian tribes recognized in America, as they would have been dissolved. That illustrates how complex and important this issue is. A free nation cannot simply grant citizenship to every person who happens to be born on its soil. So, what happened? How did America suddenly start granting citizenship to all foreign babies born on U.S. soil? Well, this is the answer. It sounds pretty stupid answer, but it's the one we got. In 1982, liberal Supreme Court Justice William Brennan slipped a footnote into a court decision in the case of Plyer versus Doe. That's Plyer, Plyer versus Doe. That footnote made this monstrously stupid claim, and I quote, "No plausible distinction with respect to the 14th Amendment jurisdiction can be drawn between resident aliens whose entry into the United States was lawful and resident aliens whose entry was unlawful." Close quote. In other words, Brennan thought it was impossible to tell the difference between a legal immigrant and an illegal alien. How you like that? No law has ever been passed to grant citizenship to illegal alien and tourist babies, and the 14th Amendment was never interpreted to mean that until this 1982 footnote was slipped into a court case, and the footnote had nothing to do with the decision in the court case itself. That opened the socialist-controlled floodgates, and today we have as many as 400,000 anchor babies born in the United States every year to illegal alien mothers and to birth tourists, predominantly from communist China. So, what's a birth tourist? Well, let's talk about that. Because of this relatively new anchor baby policy, the governments of many Asian countries, and especially communist China, are sending pregnant women to America at their expense on extended vacations when they're 8.5 months pregnant. Since the American media doesn't want to admit this problem, here's a clip from the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, in which a reporter drives around a neighborhood in California that is catering to the birth tourism industry. Take a look.
In the fancy palm-lined suburbs on the edge of LA County, a local lawyer has been leading the search for maternity hotels.
This is one here that has been reported in a formal complaint to the City Council. They're essentially maternity motels where they rent out 3 to 4 rooms in the home to pregnant women that are coming from China and giving birth to get the dual citizenship.
And there's a few in this just one little estate here?
Yeah, 3 and just a couple of yards from one another.
As soon as a Chinese baby is born in an American hospital, the mother gets an American birth certificate for the baby, and then she heads back to communist China. Then the baby can grow up and be brainwashed in the Communist Party doctrine for 20 years and come back to America and get a job working for the Department of Defense. Does anyone see a potential national security threat with that? I sure do. I hope you do too. In fact, the western states of California, Oregon, and Washington, as well as Hawaii and Alaska, all have underground economies that are catering to communist Chinese birth tourism. I lived in one in Rancho Cucamonga for a couple of years, and it was amazing to me that some of the houses had been turned into baby mills, and they weren't hospitals at all. They weren't certified as such. But the women would come and go and come and go and come and go, and you'd see them walking their babies on the sidewalk. And I asked a couple of them why they were here. And uniformly, they said they were here in order to promote American citizenship for communist Chinese babies. How you like that? Well, suppose one day that 250,000 communist Chinese military members suddenly moved to the west coast of the United States, all on 747s or these big new wide bodies, and they come here because they have full citizenship. They're known as former anchor babies. As American citizens, every single one of them would be legally able to go to the nearest gun shop and buy a rifle and a handgun and cases of ammo. They could occupy and take over Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. They could do it in a single day. They could have pre-shipped into these huge containers that come in and are not checked at the docks, stored someplace, and have them full of uniforms and have it full of munitions from communist China, and we'd never know until D-Day, or maybe it's C-Day, China Day, when they all get dressed up in their uniforms and goose up to your local Chamber of Commerce and City Hall and take over the whole state. That's what's waiting for us, America. Don't take this lightly. And if you think the Communist Party in China is not thinking about this strategy, think again. They are. That's why birth tourism to America is now part of the social fabric of China. In fact, the communist government there encourages the practice and glamorizes the idea of getting dual citizenship in the United States. The phenomenon is now a part of popular culture in China as well. The romantic comedy, Beijing to Seattle, a film, features a Chinese communist female subject who comes to America to have an anchor baby. At the box office in China, that film grossed 3 times as much money from Chinese audiences as the latest Marvel blockbuster about Captain America. No one knows for sure how many Chinese anchor babies are born here, but the number is estimated to be as high as 40,000 a year. 40,000 a year. So you figure out how many years it takes to put 250,000 soldiers into San Francisco and Seattle and Los Angeles and San Diego. Do it all on the sly. Not many, America. Not many years. So I think we need to further examine the consequences of the anchor baby policy. In spite of everything that the bleeding heart globalists tell you on the news, 3 things happen automatically when an anchor baby's born. First, the parents and siblings of the baby are automatically shielded from deportation. No parent of an American citizen is ever deported once they have an anchor baby. I don't care what the argument of the Democrats like to throw out, but it simply does not happen, and I don't believe that they can show it unless that alien has committed a felony. So when 400,000 anchor babies are delivered here every year, it means that 800,000 parents are automatically shielded from deportation. Second, according to the Center for Immigration Studies, 71% of illegal alien parents apply for welfare benefits for that anchor baby, now get this, before they leave the hospital. The third thing that happens when the anchor baby is born is the parents leave the hospital with a birth certificate. And they almost always skip out on the hospital bill, $15,000, if in fact there's no complications. This alone cost American taxpayers $6 billion a year. Medicaid covers about $2 billion of the costs, and the hospitals are forced to swallow the additional $4 billion in costs. The Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons reports that between 1993 and 2005, California alone had 84 hospitals shut down in bankruptcy due to unpaid bills from illegal aliens, mainly anchor baby costs that the parents skipped out on. The Los Angeles Times reports that California will lose another 10% of its hospitals by the year 2020 due to unpaid bills. I'll give you one guess who those people are that are not paying their bills. At one hospital in North Carolina, the same journal reports that 99% of the uninsured who who were not paying their bills were illegal aliens. 99%. How you like that, America? All you people loving these illegal aliens coming in here, you're bankrupting our hospital system. You're making our hospitals go out of business. You're making medical care unavailable for our elderly, for our veterans, for our poor, for our inner city youth. Why? Because of anchor babies. You know, the countries in the European Union have totally open borders. But even those nations are not crazy enough to grant automatic citizenship to foreign babies. Are we still allowing this for some reason? I can't understand it. To me, well, the answer's simple. This incredibly stupid idea is one more strategy that makes it possible for the globalists residing in the United States to destroy our country. That's why we have to pass Congressman Steve King's Birthright Citizenship Act. The bill amends the Immigration and Nationality Act to clarify once and for all that the jurisdiction of the United States covers American citizens, lawful permanent resident aliens, and aliens serving in the armed forces. This is how the 14th Amendment was intended to be applied when it was originally written. No more illegal alien anchor babies and Chinese birth tourism babies. They'll never be granted citizenship if we can get this bill passed. This threat to our nation will pass. Don't allow your emotions and cute pictures of babies to overrule your brain on this issue, America. For example, if a blonde-haired, blue-eyed couple from Utah travels to China and has a baby there, during a vacation, for example, no sane person would argue that the baby's Chinese. The Chinese government and all the Chinese people sure as hell wouldn't fall for that. So why do we allow foreigners to do that to America? American citizenship is a precious thing, and we have to start protecting it or we will lose our country. So here's how you can help. Go to our action page today and start sending personal letters to the House Freedom Caucus. Tell them to support and co-sponsor Congressman King's Birthright Citizenship Act. Do it today, please. So stay tuned, because Bob Mallory will have instructions on the next screen explaining how to get to our action page and become your own action hero. This is Charles Benninghoff signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many, many blessings.
If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program and send personal letters to Congress. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find the link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.